If you've ever dealt with melasma, you know the usual story, right? It's all about sun and hormones. But what if there's a huge piece of the puzzle that's been hiding in plain sight? Or, hiding in our blood? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating new link that could totally change how we think about this common skin condition. All right, so first things first. Before we get to the new discovery, let's just quickly get on the same page about what melasma actually is. So melasma shows up as these dark, blotchy patches, usually on the face. You might have heard it called the mask of pregnancy. And look, while it's not physically harmful, calling it just a cosmetic issue really misses the point. For so many people, it's a constant source of frustration that can seriously impact their self-confidence and just their overall quality of life. It matters.
And where does it typically pop up? Well, in this study, over half the cases were what's called centrofacial. That just means the center of the face. So your forehead, cheeks, nose, and that little space above the upper lip. The cheekbones are another really common spot, and then a smaller number of people see it along their jawline.
For years, the conversation about what causes melasma has really circled around these three things. The usual suspects. You've got sun exposure, that UV radiation just kicks melanin production into overdrive. Then there are hormonal changes, which is why it's so linked to pregnancy and birth control pills. And of course, there's genetics. If your mom or sister has it, your chances are higher. But this is where our story takes a really interesting turn. What if there's another culprit, one that has less to do with what's happening on our skin and a lot more to do with what's happening inside our bodies?
And that is the exact question a group of researchers decided to ask. They thought, okay, let's look for a completely different kind of clue.
And that brings us to this little piece of scientific detective work that is at the absolute heart of our explainer today.
So in 2024, a study came out of Dhaka, Bangladesh. And these researchers, they decided to look for clues that were quite literally hidden in the blood. They had a hunch about a link between melasma and nutrition. Specifically, they wanted to zoom in on iron levels.
The way they set it up was just beautifully simple. They took 100 women and split them into two groups. Group A, 50 women who had melasma, and Group B, the control group, 50 women who were about the same age and from a similar background, but who didn't have melasma. The mission was simple. Compare their blood tests and see what shakes out.
And when they got those lab results back, let me tell you, the findings were anything but subtle. It was pretty shocking, actually.
Okay, finding number 1, serum iron. This is basically the amount of iron that's actively circulating in your blood. In the group with melasma, the average was just 59, but in the group without melasma, almost 97. That is a massive, massive gap.
The plot thickened when they looked at ferritin. Now, ferritin is the protein that stores your iron. Think of it as your body's iron reserves. And get this, the melasma group's average ferritin level was almost exactly half of the control group's. So this wasn't just about a lack of iron floating around. Their backup tanks were running on empty too.
And this table really drives the point home. It shows just how common this was. In the melasma group, a staggering 40% had clinically low iron. In the control group, just 6%. And for low ferritin, those low iron stores, it was 30% versus just 4%. I mean, the connection here is becoming impossible to ignore.
Okay, so the researchers also measured something called total iron binding capacity, or TIBC. The best way to think about TIBC is like this. It's the number of empty taxis your body sends out into your bloodstream to go find and pick up iron. And in the melasma group, that TIBC number was way higher. Their bodies were desperately sending out more and more of these empty taxis, which is a classic biological scream for help, a sign that they're searching for iron that just isn't there.
So the data is crystal clear. Women with melasma in this study were way more likely to be iron deficient. But what does that really mean? Is it just a coincidence, or is there a direct link here?
Well, they took it one step further. The researchers used a standard scale to grade how severe each woman's melasma was. And what they found was a clear pattern. The lower a woman's iron levels, the more severe her melasma tended to be. It wasn't just an on or off thing, it was a dial. As iron went down, melasma severity went up.
For any of you who love the stats, here's the number. The correlation coefficient between serum iron and melasma severity was -0.622.
Now, in statistics, that's considered a strong negative correlation. It basically means that as one thing goes down, in this case iron, the other thing reliably goes up, melasma severity. This isn't just random chance. These two things are dancing together.
So, what's the big picture implication of all this? What does this mean for treatment? Where does this new information lead us?
The study's authors really summed it up perfectly themselves. This quote from their paper gets right to the point. There was a significant inverse correlation between low body iron stores and the severity of melasma. It's a direct, statistically proven link.
And that right there brings us to the most crucial insight. This all suggests that iron deficiency isn't just some random thing that happens to be present alongside melasma. No, it could actually be an aggravating factor, something that actively makes the condition worse or maybe even helps trigger it in the first place.
So, let's just boil it all down. What are the big takeaways here? First, iron deficiency is way more common in women who have melasma. Second, it's not just there. Lower iron levels are directly linked to more severe melasma. And third, and this is the really exciting part, this suggests that correcting an iron deficiency could be a brand new way to help manage this incredibly stubborn condition. And that leaves us with this one final powerful thought. For the millions of people who are struggling with melasma, who have tried all the creams and treatments, could it be that a major key to the solution isn't in a bottle, but in a simple blood test? It's a whole new angle to consider on the path to clearer skin.